Welcome back. Donald Trump made it official over the weekend, naming Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his vice presidential pick. Governor Pence calls himself a born-again evangelical Christian. But will evangelical voters come out in November for the Trump-Pence ticket? Joining us right now is Family Research Council President Tony Perkins. Tony, good to see you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. So do you agree with that? Let's talk about who Pence is.
Well, I do think that this is eventually going to help Donald Trump. I have to give Donald Trump credit for wanting to reach social conservatives and evangelicals, understanding how important they are. Now, there are some issues with Mike Pence. Last year, on the issue of religious liberty, he caved under the pressure of big business. Big business now wanting to drive both fiscal policy and social policy at the state level. But I'm hopeful that maybe the courage that Donald Trump has shown up against the politically correct crowd will rub off on Mike.
So you think evangelicals come out for Pence?
I think they will. There are issues there. Religious liberty is a huge issue, and it was a domino effect when he backpedaled on the issue of religious liberty. Then we saw Arkansas do the same thing under the pressure of Walmart, and we've seen others. Now you've got governors like McCrory and Phil Bryant in Mississippi standing up against big business. But it is a problem. I'm not going to say it's not a problem. But I want to give Donald Trump credit for realizing how important this constituency is.
Right.
And getting someone who I think, if that were to not be a factor, I think would be a good pick.
Tony, don't you think that the fact that the Trump people allowed the platform to be the single most conservative platform, he was far more supportive of issues that matter to social conservatives than we ever saw from Romney or McCain or from the Bush team. And so I think, a lot of evangelicals don't need Mike Pence to unite around Donald Trump. That's kind of the interesting thing.
I think you're right. There were three things I laid out early that I thought, and not just me, but what I think are reflective of social conservatives. One, the courts.
Yeah.
And remember, he released a list of 11 solid candidates, and he has said, I'll seek the input of the Federalist Society. The second I put was the platform. I was on the platform committee, was able to write a good portion of it, and it is the most solidly conservative document the Republicans ever had. And you're absolutely right. I've been there since 2004 when the Bush campaign, then the McCain campaign, and the Romney campaign were strong-arming delegates. The Trump people stood back. I mean, they were there, they were involved, but they allowed the elected delegates to do their work. And now I do think that Donald Trump had good intentions in selecting Mike Pence. So again, I give him credit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have to hear a lot of that, Dagen, this week on the platform, whether it's social issues or economic from Mike Pence and Trump.
Is that what is going to get out the vote in November? One critical thing I've heard from evangelical Christians is you had Mitt Romney, 79% of white evangelicals. 2004 for President Bush, the same percentage. However, many people feel like the evangelicals really didn't come out in strong numbers for Mitt Romney. That could help Trump tremendously in November. Is that what's going to get him out? What are you doing to get these people out to vote? Because the question is, are they going to vote for Hillary Clinton?
No.
Come on.
Maybe they'll just stay home, though.
Right.
If they don't vote for Hillary.
And that's what Mitt Romney had the problem of. A lot of them stayed home. You cannot scare enough people to the polls. You've got to cast a vision that will inspire them to go and vote. And not just themselves, but Governor, how it works. You got to get the neighbors, you got to get the hairdresser, the dry cleaner. I mean, everywhere you go, you've got to be excited because that's contagious. I have to emphasize, though, that this issue of religious liberty, and I've communicated this, is a big issue to evangelicals. And so this is not just a bump in the road. This is a major issue that has to be dealt with. And I think Mike Pence has to come forward and say, you know what, maybe in hindsight that wasn't the best move. But somehow this is a latent issue that could be problematic. I hope it's not. Because I do, again, give Donald Trump the credit for making the right moves.
Yeah. All right. We will leave it there. Tony, great insights as always. Thanks so much.
Good to be with you.
Tony Perkins joining us.